Hey you, welcome to the Grey Talks podcast. Talks about grey thinking, social skills, communication, personal development and team coaching. Because in a world that is black and white, we can all use some grey. My name is Lisette van Putten and I will be having these talks with you. I'm a social skills teacher and coach and I will be sharing my thoughts, knowledge and practical tips to create your own greatness. So stay tuned and enjoy this brand new episode. Wow, it has been forever. But I'm back with a new episode of the Great Talks podcast. Great Talks with Lisette, that's me. And I'm back at it. It has been a while. I took a break that became a very long break. And that break led to a breakdown and a breakthrough. And that's exactly the topic of this episode. All I wanted to do is take a break and just relax and really relax, just not fake relaxing and be like, oh yeah, I'm chilling, I'm relaxing, I'm watching some series, I'm laying down on my couch. But with a rushing mind, you're not relaxing. So I really, really wanted to take a break, but I just didn't allow myself to take one. My biggest wish was just to shut up my own mind and giving myself the time off to actually enjoy the break as well. And it felt like I needed to have like the switch just to turn my mind off for a little bit, just for a little bit. The switch. I had to find the switch. Sounds easy, but I couldn't find it. It took me forever to figure out what I needed to allow myself to take a break. And I feel like I'm not quite there yet. I have an idea and I figured out a few things that really helped me, but I'm not a master at it yet. But I do really want to share my ideas on this topic with you. So I took a break. I took a break from recording these podcasts because 6 months ago I came home and there was like water coming down from the ceiling in one of my rooms. And I had to decide real fast what I was going to do because I already wrote out, I think, 4 or 5 new topics for a podcast, like for podcast episodes. And I had to decide real fast what I was going to do because I planned on recording a bunch of episodes in the following weeks because I still had some time off from work. But I had to rearrange everything. And I just had to decide, am I going to be able to find the headspace right now to record those episodes? Or do I take a break? I decided. It took a while, but I was really thinking about it and I decided to take a break for 1 month. I said, okay, I'm not gonna record anything the upcoming month. I'm gonna make sure everything in my place, in my home, in my house, my lovely home, that everything in my home is ready back to normal. And then I can actually enjoy sitting here and talking to you and recording these great talks. It was a nice idea to think that it would only take a month. I'm 6 months in now, and that's due to multiple leakages. It's due to people slacking to do their work. It's due to neighbors that aren't cooperating. So I'm still right in the middle of everything, and on top of that, because it's been forever and ever, and there's a lot of water damage. So there's also a lot of moist. So there's also mold. Um, it's not very comfortable living in my home. So I've also been moving around a lot. So that's not really a good headspace to be in when I want to create and I want to share and I want to be enthusiastic. So okay, I already took a break. Um, and I was very hesitant because I was afraid that the break was going to be longer and longer and longer, which actually also happened due to different reasons, but also because getting started again, it takes some, like, I don't know. For me, it always takes a little bit more to get going again. I am motivated. I have written out multiple episodes already. I have all these ideas. But then to get back into it and to sit down and start recording, I knew already before I took a break that it was going to be hard to get started again. But now that I am sitting here and I have my setup back and I'm just in my own little bubble, I actually do feel like I'm back and I am totally ready to get started and get restarted and share all my thoughts, ideas, knowledge, new things I read, new ideas, new perspectives with you. So, in this episode, I'm going to talk about what it took for me to actually allow myself to take a break, how that break led to a breakdown and a breakthrough. So, it had some ups and downs. And I'm also going to share tips that can be helpful when you have trouble allowing yourself to take a break, when you struggle with really relaxing and enjoying your break and enjoying that downtime. Even though it's been a long time since I recorded my Grey Talk podcast, from now on, these episodes are all going to have more great triggers and great tips. Great triggers are the things that trigger me into black and white thinking, that make me like cringe, make me feel that ache, feel my stomach turn, like all those little things, big things, just those triggers that make me go into black and white thinking and be very, very stubborn and fixed. So those are the things where I myself really have to be consciously open-minded in approaching those triggers. But also the great tips, the tips that I use that worked for me, I want to share them with you and hopefully they can help you. Okay, so first of all, allowing myself to take a break. It took some convincing to make myself feel okay with taking a break. And even though everybody thought it was completely normal, made total sense for me to take a break because of all the things I had to deal with and still have to deal with when it comes to my place and not being able to actually enjoy my home. This bubble studio I created was full with stuff that I had to like replace, reorganize all the things. So I couldn't even, in the beginning, I couldn't even sit here. And then I started organizing things. So now I have more space. But next week, this room can all be filled with stuff again. So never a dull moment when it comes to dealing with these types of things. So even though everybody thought it was completely normal for me to take a break and that it made total sense, it took a lot of convincing to be okay with taking a break because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to restart again, to get going again, because I would see it as failing. Because when I quit something, it feels like I failed. I felt like it would mean that I was lazy, that I started procrastinating things further and longer, and I was actually just in a nice flow, in a nice vibe of doing things. So I just hated that. That meant that my plan wasn't working. So I was just failing in working, but also failing in the plan that I had. And for me, it also didn't make that much sense because, yes, like my home was falling apart, but not my entire home. And I still had some space and I still had, the opportunity to sit here and record. So why didn't I? It also kind of felt like I was using it as an excuse. This was all like in my head, um, going on and on and on before I actually noticed that I needed that break. And not only from creating new episodes, but just in general, I needed a break. And the moment I realized that was when I actually snapped at my colleagues when I was organizing an event and we had to rearrange some things due to cancellations and such. And I just lost it. I was just out of it. I was like, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't want to talk about it. I don't even want to think about it. I just was so tired. I couldn't trust on my own resilience. I couldn't trust that the next morning I would wake up and like actually feel okay. I felt worse and worse because it's also affecting my health when I'm like sleeping in my place. So I actually felt worse and worse, and I couldn't go through with it. Just couldn't. While I was contemplating taking a break, I was also very curious to learn why it's such a hard thing to do. Why do I have such a hard time allowing myself to take a break? Because I need it. Why do I have to convince myself that it is okay to take a break? What's going on there? Why am I afraid that I am not able to restart? Why do I think it is failing? Why is that? And I started looking into it, and I realized that the thing that makes it hard to actually take a break is the feeling of guilt. So, where does that feeling actually come from? And I stumbled across something called the laziness lie. And the laziness lie tells us that we don't do enough. And that's why we think that we are being lazy. Because by taking a break and doing nothing, we experience way less. And we might miss out on opportunities. And we feel less productive, so also not as successful. And we are not using our full potential. And if that break takes longer than we expected, we also feel that we are falling behind on others. So this is all created in our minds, in our heads, that we think that being lazy is exactly that. When we take a break and we need to relax, it's all of that. We're falling behind. We're not good enough. We are not using our full potential. So we are creating this huge thing that prevents us from feeling okay with taking a break. And that is why we need to convince ourselves to take a break. That's like, to me, that's to me that's crazy. I mean, I am in the middle of it and I experience every little thing that I researched, that I read, everything I stumbled upon was like, oh yeah, that happens to me. Like, yeah, I do that. I think that. That's exactly like where my mind goes. So I do recognize everything, but reading it and just like seeing all of those facts together makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. It's like crazy to think that that is how we actually think. And that is that ongoing battle inside our minds. And that is also because we see the value of ourselves is measured by our productivity. We do that with other people too, because we value other people when their productivity and what it is that they do, like their actions um, are more, and there's like more intention, and like when we are connecting with someone, we value someone, and that's also based on a form of productivity. But we with ourselves, we do it with productivity as like just producing things. So the more we produce, the more our value is. But then when we look at it as quality over quantity, we're like, yeah, of course, quality is way more important than quantity. But why do we measure our own value with the quantity of what we produce? And when we produce less and aren't that productive, we feel like our value and our quality is actually decreasing. So that does not make sense to me. That is insane. And it's also linked to the fact that we are comparing. So our value that we give ourselves is also because we are comparing with other people. I'm going to talk a lot more in another episode about that. But what I want to say about comparing, and I talked about it in previous episodes already, it is something that we do, and that is normal. It's how our brain is wired to. It's instinctive that we compare ourselves. But by comparing ourselves with people that we don't even know, like on social media with certain accounts, and we are linking that to our own value, if we aren't doing something but we are doom scrolling on Instagram or on another app, and we see other people doing a bunch of stuff, but we are on a break and we are not doing anything because we need to relax. But in that moment, we are comparing ourselves with others, and we are devaluing ourselves because we see other people being productive and doing things and accomplishing things, and we are not because we are on a break, because we needed a break and we needed to rest. But in that moment, we don't realize that. We cannot rationally realize that it is okay. I'm on a break, and oh, this is so much fun. They are doing a bunch of great stuff, and it's helping them growing their business or getting to their goals and achieving their goals. I need to take a break. I need to balance it out. But in that moment, we can't. The thing we feel is guilt because we are not doing anything. And that is when our mind starts to go over and over again. And that is when our mind is going back in that circle of feeling guilty, feeling like we are failing, being like disappointed with ourselves, being angry with ourselves because we think we are lazy. And that is that lazy lie that we tell ourselves because we need to be productive all the time. On top of that, society isn't helping us because they are telling us all it takes is to put your mind to it and get to your goals, and then you are going to feel awesome and great. And that actually adds to that pressure of having to do more and create more and be productive because nobody likes to waste time anymore. We need to be productive because if we don't, we are not good enough. And if we work, we have to be on top of everything and we have to achieve and we have to-do lists and we have to check them and they have to be done and we cannot take a break. And even in our body, it's not even working because you have toxic productivity, which means that you have that rushed feeling of having to do something and you feel like you're doing something, but you are not accomplishing anything. But because of that feeling, it's harder to focus and we lack the energy to actually keep on going and we don't achieve anything. So we feel like we have to do something. We feel rushed by it. We are doing things and we are like making lists. That's also the whole, like when you are planning, but you lose yourself in planning and you keep on planning and planning and planning, but you're not even close to actually also doing the things you are planning. So that rushed feeling we feel in our body that creates more stress, which leads to less productivity, which actually creates that vicious circle of just spiraling down in this whole guilt trip that we are setting up for ourselves. And the only solution for that is actually to take rest and to decrease the stress that you are feeling. Because with de-stressing and relaxing and taking a step back, you actually get a better view of what it is that it's needed. You can re-energize, recharge, and actually get things done. So slowing down and taking a step back is one of the things that you actually need in the times when you feel rushed into doing and keep on going and being as productive as you can because that adds to your own value. We need to take a step back. And our body actually has that solution built into itself because we lose focus. We start daydreaming, and that's our body saying like, hey, you need a break. You need to take some time to just relax and just reorganize. Let your mind just wander. And then when you get back to it, you can actually get your work done because you took a small break. So daydreaming is just your body, your mind creating that short break that you actually need to be able to continue. Because nowadays, taking a break actually takes a lot of planning too. We plan everything. We also plan our breaks and we plan our me time. And I'm not saying that we take a time frame in our schedule and make sure that we don't have any appointments, but when we are in that time frame, we also plan things because to relax, we feel like we need to do something because we don't want to waste our time. So when we are relaxing, I think I need to read a book or I feel like I have to play the piano. These are all examples for me. I also like to paint and I like to draw. And when I take a break, I need to do that. I also had a very long period where I felt like I needed to learn how to meditate because my mind was rushing all the time. So when I would take some time off and I would take a break, I need to learn how to meditate. And that's putting extra pressure on learning how to let go of that pressure and just unwind your mind and create more headspace. Putting so much pressure on actually doing that. And what was very helpful for me is to learn the difference between taking a break, procrastinating, and being lazy. Because those are definitely not the same things. Because being lazy is to be reluctant and to do the necessary effort to accomplish something. So you're unwilling to actually put in the work. That means that you are lazy because you don't want to, but it is necessary. So it is important to do the work to achieve the goal, but you are reluctant to do that. You're unwilling to do that. That is what laziness is all about. Then procrastinating is unnecessarily postponing decisions and actions. So I need to be doing stuff and I am not doing it. So I'm procrastinating. I need to put my taxes in from the last quarter of the last year, but I am not doing it yet because I still have some time. I can do it tomorrow or next week. Well, next week is not an option anymore, but I can do it later. So I am postponing doing that. That is procrastinating. And there are different reasons to be procrastinating. It's all in a previous episode on perfectionism as well. So if you want to know more about procrastinating, you can check that episode. But the definition of procrastination is to unnecessarily postpone decisions and actions. And then taking a break is actually necessarily, willingly taking the time to rest, to reset, to relax. You need to take rest. So you need it. You decide that it is something that you need. And we are mistaking taking a break with either procrastinating or either being lazy, where it feels as if it is something that we are unwillingly doing or it's unnecessary to do that. No, taking a break is necessary to rest and reset because our body needs rest, our mind needs rest. And we are not taking any rest because we are looking at our personal lives as a business plan because we need to be aware of what it is that we are going to achieve in the next month, the next year, the next 5 years. If you don't have a 5-year plan, then what is it that you are doing right now? What are you working towards? What are you trying to achieve in your personal life? I mean, I don't say that it's not okay to have goals and that it's not okay to have goals in your personal life because I believe goals are not only something that we use or should use in like work life, but in your personal life you can also have goals, definitely. But I think what we are creating with that is also a fixed way of living where we are planning everything and we've actually increase that feeling that our value is measured by our productivity and our achievements and our success. And I strongly believe that our value should be measured by who we are as a person and the way we act, the things we say, our willingness to share things, to have conversations with people, to help each other, to respect each other's boundaries, like just being the best version of yourself. And in order to be able to become that version of yourself, rest is needed. Okay, I feel like I've been repeating a lot already, and I think that one of the reasons is to get my message across, but also for me to actually realize how weird things work when it comes to taking a break. Because for me, the way I learn is actually by explaining things. So don't think that these Grey Talks episodes are only about you and me sharing my ideas and perspectives with you. But there are definitely also helping me, myself, and I, because this is the way I hopefully learn and will be able to take a break easier. Because as I said, I do know more about it, and it definitely helps me in allowing myself to take a break and to also enjoy the breaks that I take. But I'm definitely not a master at it. I still struggle. I still have the setbacks when it comes to allowing myself to take a break. So, going back to my own experience when it comes to taking a break, I willingly decided to take a break. So, that was one thing. Check, I did that. But I didn't take a break like entirely because things were piling up. I had to call insurance people, make sure that there were construction people coming over to check everything. So, I was arranging stuff for my place. Meanwhile, I was also teaching at my job, so I was trying to manage everything. But the stress was also piling up. Like all the things that I had to do were piling up, but the stress was there too. And having that amount of stress in a greater period of time, it just takes its toll out of you physically, on top of like the health issues I was developing already, and mentally. So that stress and that constant level of stress was not helping me at all. So I already took a break from some of the things that I do with Think Great. So the great talks were paused, and I wasn't creating any content for my socials. I was like taking a break, doing other stuff for my business, but the break I took was just like it was a part-time break. That's not really how it works when you take a break. So that way, me taking a break actually led to a breakdown. I already shared that I experienced so much stress and I was really tired and I wasn't feeling great. So my resilience was very low, and then I just I just lost it. I was just tired. I was really tired. So I wasn't doing well. I was trying to keep everything together to fix my home. I didn't feel creative to create new things. And also, my health was really bothering me. So then I went to my GP, and she actually advised me not to be at my place, which is a hard time to do when it's your home and when that's the place where you are going. But basically, she said, you need to take a break from staying at your place, which is very painful to hear because all you want to do when you are not feeling great is to go home. Like when I don't feel great, I just want to be at home and I'd be lying on my couch under my blanket or I would be in my bed. But she said it was not an option to actually be there and stay there. So I had to find a solution for that. And I was able to move into my parents' place and stay there for 6 full weeks, which was amazing because it actually helped me to get my mind away from all the things that I need to arrange and need to be done in my place. It helped me to actually physically feel better. After 2, 3 nights, I was already feeling so much better. But I also noticed that I actually, like, I broke down completely because I was so tired. So I slept a lot. Really had to recover, like reset and recharge. And that is exactly what I needed, a break, but a true break, not a part time break, not a short break, not just saying, like, oh, yeah, I am taking a break, I am relaxing. No, I actually took a full break, and I also had a vacation. So I also had some time off from work. So I had a full break, and I it definitely helped me recharge. And it did exactly what I needed to be able to get back to that resilient vibe to get things done. I mean, I'm still working through a bunch of things that need to be fixed in my place, and they're not going great, and it's taking a lot of time. So I am really not at the point where I say, oh, I got through everything. I still feel like I'm right in the middle of everything. So, no, I don't feel better because everything is fixed. No, I feel better because I actually took a break and allowed myself to take a break. It took 4 months to actually build up to that point where I allowed myself to take a break. even though I thought I was already taking a break, but it was a part-time break. It was just a little bit. I'm not doing that to just wind down a little. And tonight I'm not going anywhere and I'm just gonna chill and relax. That didn't cut it for me. I needed a full stop. And that was exactly my breakthrough. I mean, it took a long time and it took a breakdown to actually get to that point. Like, I already knew that I needed to take a break. I thought I already allowed myself to take a break, but I wasn't allowing myself to have a guilt-free break in getting my body rested, getting my mind just switched off for a little bit and reset completely. I did what everybody nowadays does, and that's plan my break. I planned to do art, like to paint. I planned to play the piano. I planned to read more. I actually took, I don't know, 4 or 5 books to my parents' place as if I was going to read them all. But okay, I planned to do it. I had big sheets hanging in the living room with all the things that I wanted to be doing in that break. Okay, that didn't work because I just laid on the couch and I slept. I couldn't even like get up and do certain things. I couldn't even open a book. I think I sat down behind the piano and played a little bit one time. I started painting, but I think I stopped after like one attempt already. I still have it, and I know that I will start doing it when I have the headspace and I have the vibe to actually do it. Um, but I was just exhausted and I couldn't do anything. And my breakthrough was actually listening to what it is that I needed in that moment. And I learned to do that already when I traveled through Asia and I didn't have my normal daily distractions of my life here in the Netherlands. And I was able to decide daily, like on a daily basis, what it is that I needed in that moment. And also what I wanted to do that day. I didn't plan a lot. I was just like, oh, waking up, what am I going to do today? What do I want to do? And that is exactly what I applied in my break. And I, if it was laying on the couch and watching movies and sleeping, then that was what I needed. And I did hang out with a few friends. I did go to the gym and move my body. So even when I was taking a break, when I was able to just decide what I needed to do that day, I was I was feeling a lot better. And of course, we don't all have the luxury to wake up and decide what it is that we want to do because of life and work and other responsibilities that just are part of your schedule and part of your life. But what we can do is schedule our free time because we're already doing that. We're already blocking time to have some me time and have some downtime. We do that. But instead of planning everything and get like 3 hours of me time, but it's fully organized and planned already with lists and to dos, even though they should be relaxing, try not to plan what it is you're going to do with that time. Just in the moment, feel what you need to do, what you want to do, and then you just do it. As I said, it's not something I am mastering already. I am still learning, I'm still working on it, but I do schedule time to like free my schedule and to have some downtime, some me time. And I try to do it one day, a full day in the week, where I just wake up and I'll just be, okay, what do I feel like doing today? And sometimes that even leads to sitting here and recording a podcast episode, or it leads to being really productive with some other work stuff that I needed to do. But it's okay because it's free time and I decided what it is that I need. What do I feel like? What gives me energy? What gives me joy in that moment? And I am just going to do that. And up until now, that wasn't playing the piano, it wasn't painting, and it wasn't drawing anything. It was actually creating stuff because I felt like I had that headspace again, that state of mind where I can actually create things. And it gives me energy. And me time and free time and downtime and taking a break and relaxing for me also doesn't always mean that I am going to spend time only by myself. Sometimes I wake up and I feel like I want to hang out with friends and people that I care about. So I'm going to arrange that. So that is also possible. Free time doesn't mean that it's only about you and you need to be sitting still, looking at a candle and watch your breathing and meditate. That's not the only thing that taking a break actually means. So, some other tips that I found that might be helpful when it comes to taking a break and allowing yourself to take a break. Sometimes they work, and other times I need to do something else. So, it's also not a fixed way or like a 3-step program that you just apply whenever you want to take a break and give yourself the headspace and making sure that you don't have to convince yourself that it's okay to take a break right now. Sometimes one thing works and the other doesn't. But the things that make most sense to me are tips like spending less time on social media, and not because of doom scrolling and wasting your time with it, but it is because you are less exposed to other accounts to which you might compare yourself with, putting that pressure on you that you need to perform and you need to be productive and comparing to create that value for yourself as well. So spending less time on social media, not because of the time consuming part, which can also be a reason to not spend as much time on social media, but most importantly, it's about comparing yourself to others. And when you spend less time on social media, you will be doing that way less, and that will also decrease the pressure that you might feel to be productive and achieve things. Another tip that really helped me is spending time with my friends, spending time with people that I care for. And yes, I also need me time, downtime for myself in this bubble, just like cocooning, to recharge. But I also get a lot of energy out of talking to people and being around people that match my vibe, my energy, my frequency, my flow. So I also need to be doing that. When I took a break, I decided to do less social activities. And yes, sometimes that is exactly what I need. But if I do that for too long, I actually also get stressed and anxious because then I'm only by myself and I'm just in that bubble, but then it's like spinning more. So I also need to interact with people. So that can also be very helpful in allowing yourself to take a break. This is a tip that is mentioned a lot as well when you are going to do a deep dive on taking a break and allowing yourself to take a break. And this tip will also be coming back in various forms, but keep moving. For me, that's dancing. For me, that is working out. That is walking as well. So allowing myself to take a break is also just moving my body and allowing myself to take the time to do that. Just schedule me time, and sometimes that is time in the gym by myself working out. Sometimes that is walking outside and getting some fresh air as well. Another tip is to be creative. For me, that helps, but also when I am not in the right headspace, I just feel blocked. So I cannot actually paint, play the piano, feel that creative vibe. So, yes, sometimes this definitely works for me, and sometimes this is just not the way to spend my free time, and it won't help me to have a guilt-free break. But the two most important things that did help me is reasoning with the definitions and the differences of taking a break, procrastinating, and being lazy. Those are different things. So taking a break is not the same as procrastinating, as being lazy. That really, really helped me. And what also really helped me is deciding in the moment what I really wanted to do. And the things that I just mentioned are things that I might be doing when it comes to that me time. So those two things were really my breakthrough when it comes to this whole experience of taking a break, breaking down completely, and actually having a breakthrough when it comes to allowing yourself to take a break. So it has been my pleasure to actually restart recording my episodes for the Great Talks podcast again with this topic of taking a break after I have taken a very long break myself and what it meant to me. We talked about how freaking hard it is to allow yourself to take a break, which most of all comes from the fact that we actually value ourselves, measured by our productivity, measured by what we achieve, the success that we have. That is one of the key things that prevents us from having a guilt-free break. And even that break, we are planning to do anything that has extra value and is very productive to be doing, which contributes to us relaxing, but isn't actually relaxing at all. And I also shared my own experience from taking a break, having to take a break, which led to an absolute breakdown because I took a part-time break and I wasn't allowing myself to take a break. I had that guilt build up that just exploded, led to my breakdown where I actually couldn't do anything and I was just completely exhausted and had to take a full stop break where I slept a lot because our body needs to rest and we need to incorporate short breaks. Thank God our body is already capable of taking short breaks and allowing us to daydream um, if we don't fight it ourselves. But I needed that full stop break, which led to my breakthrough where I actually realized that I need to incorporate time for myself where I need to be able to, in the moment, decide what I am going to do. And I need to remember, and I hope you can do too, that laziness, procrastination, and taking a break is not the same because laziness is being reluctant and unwilling to do things. Procrastinating means that you are unnecessarily postponing decisions and actions. And when we talk about taking a break, it's willingly, it's necessary, it's needed and important to rest, reset, and relax. As promised, of course, this episode as well, a great trigger and a great tip. My great trigger is that when I realize that I need a break, it's already too late. That's one. But the first thing I start doing when I need to take a break is I start to plan and I start to make this sort of like fixed to-do list of things that I need to be doing in order to take a break. So first it is the things that I still need to finish and achieve before I am allowed to take a break. And then I also plan what I am going to do in that break. So when I feel like I need to rest, I start planning and I start creating lists. And yes, I love a good schedule and I love lists, but only if they are helping me, because by creating lists, I actually made it visible as well. And if I don't finish it, then the guilt kicks in and then the self-loathing starts as well. So they are not productive and they are not helping at all. So when I feel like I need to take a break, this is exactly what happens. And it actually evokes my stress and it's not helping me to allowing myself to take a break. And it is definitely much harder to convince myself that I need a break because I already have a full list of things why I shouldn't, I couldn't, and I don't, and I can't, and all the reasons why taking a break is not an option for me right now. And as for a great tip, I already mentioned a bunch of tips that might be able to help you in learning to allow yourself to take a break. So, what my biggest tip would be to actually figure out what it is that helps you, that you need to be able to allow yourself to take a break. That I think that part is most important when we are taking a break and actually feeling like we are recharging and we are relaxing, is what is it that you need? What is helpful for you? What is it that you need to be able to shut that inner critic and have a guilt-free break? Thank you for listening to this episode of Great Talks. Please let me know what you think, ask me anything, and spread greatness by sharing these talks with everyone you think needs a little bit more grey. Don't forget to be great until our next Great Talk.